Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Matt, and we talk about movies on this show. This is going to be a discussion and review of Deadpool 2, which just came out this weekend, so that's what we're going to talk about. We'll start spoiler free, as we always do. We'll warn you before we get into spoilers, and that's the plan. So, yes, Matt. How are you, Matt? You feeling good?
I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm just letting you do your intro.
No, I'm just making some small talk to start this off. Get us in the mood.
Yeah. No. I'm trying not to spoil things because, not that you can spoil stuff in this movie, but there's just stuff that cracks me up when I think about it. So.
So Deadpool 2, of course, sequel to the first one, and first one was kind of this weird film because it was kind of like they had to like prove that it was worth making, so it didn't get like a super high budget, and then it came out and it was like one of the most successful, if not the most successful R-rated movies of all time. And so this one you can tell has the up budget and revolves around Cable coming from the future to assassinate this kid who in the future is going to be this super mutant who's going to end up killing his family and seemingly a bunch of other people, because he's a nut job in the future. So he's back in time to kill the kid from Hunt from the Wilder People, and Deadpool forms a team to try and save said kid, and that is the gist of the movie.
An X-team. Almost a force of some kind.
An X-Force, yes. So that's the idea. So I without rambling on any further, I'll ask Matt the question. Matt, did you enjoy Deadpool 2?
Oh, I did. More so than the first. So I feel like the first was a fine movie, but like the story, I wasn't into it that much, and I just rewatched it before this one came out. So I went into this one thinking, okay, well, this is Josh Brolin as Cable, so we'll see. And that's a character I don't really care about in comics, so we'll see now. And it ended up going above and beyond the first one, so I was quite pleased with it.
I'm not as positive as you are. I didn't necessarily dislike it. I'm just kind of in a sort of meh state, somewhere in the middle. There's some things I liked, there's some things I didn't like, and there's some stuff that I just don't think works for me. I think at its core, I just don't like Deadpool that much as a character.
Then that's understandable because it comes down to taste. If the fourth wall breaking isn't your type of thing, because I don't read Deadpool comics. Because of that.
Do you know the funny thing is that I'm not even against the fourth wall breaking, and because the best part of the first movie was definitely comedy, and I felt like here though some of the fourth wall breaking jokes were just kind of retreading the same ground. Like, okay, you made fun of Green Lantern in the first one, you made fun of X-Men Origins Wolverine in the first one, like, so when you did it again in this one, I was just kind of like, okay, we've done this already. Yeah,
well, I just feel like those are the running jokes that go between movies. You know, he's going the fact that it's Ryan Reynolds. You know, and those are two massive failures on his record. Like, you're gonna kick the dead horse somewhere. You know?
I think humor is so subjective, and I think there's a smugness to the comedy in Deadpool where it thinks it's really funny, and that's kind of what makes it not funny to me for some reason. Like, you know, like, that's not to say that I didn't laugh at all. There was definitely some moments here or there that I thought were really funny, but there was a lot of jokes that didn't land for me. So you know, it's just what it is. I do have one or two more objective criticisms of the film, one of which I am going to ramble about in spoilers for I'm warning you now. But yeah, there's some stuff that I worked. I thought Cable was fine. I like Josh Brolin. I thought that was fine. I did like Domino quite a bit. I knew nothing about Domino going in. If anything, my complaint with Domino would be there's not enough of her stuff, because there's like two really great scenes where her superpower, which is luck. She's just really lucky, and to basically describe that, it's kind of like someone walking through a scene and it's like the supernatural force from Final Destination is looking out for her, so it's kind of taking care of things around her to like either help her beat the bad guys or just keep her alive. And the 2 or 3 scenes we get of her with that happening around her are fantastic, and it made me think, damn, I wish this was a Domino movie. I want more of this. Honestly, people like tripping and dying around her, like the bad guys and stuff, in her action scenes was easily the stuff I was laughing at the most. That was cracking me up so much.
Yeah.
And I think partly because it wasn't like references to pop culture. It wasn't, hey, this other movie, or hey, this thing.
Well,
it was just pure
straight up physical comedy at that point. and just her attitude about it, because she's so nonchalant. Like even when she shows up to the interview to get on the team, she's just like, yeah, I just kind of wandered in, like I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And you know, it was just that whole right there. And the actress is great too.
Yeah, she's great. Zazie Beetz is the actress. She's really good. She was my favorite part of it. There's actually stuff in the trailer that I was disappointed. Like I liked it in the trailer that I was disappointed in the film, and that is mainly the team as a whole that is assembled in the trailer, and you see them assembled in the film. That I mean, we'll get into spoilers later as to why, but that ended up being a complete waste of time, and more on that later. More on that later. That's full spoilers.
This is the struggle. Is I'm what to talk about, what not to talk about, because the movie moves at its own. I don't want to say it moves at its own pace, but like it does things and sets things up just to undo them or do something different. Than what you think. So
I will say. I think it's got a better plot than the first one, because the first one just had this really generic villain, and it had this weird thing where, because it was all one big action scene with a lot of flashbacks in it, it kind of had this weird feeling of not really moving forward that much, whereas this kind of fixes that. This has a plot that keeps moving. Yeah, and it feels like a proper X story done through a Deadpool lens, because this is something that you could read in the comics and it wouldn't seem like out of place. So and it really works at tone where I felt like the first one didn't. It just felt like, oh, this is Deadpool's first adventure and we don't know how to take it. Do you know what I think's really funny about like Deadpool and to an extent even Logan is that they kind of talk about the other X-Men movies as if, like, how do I put this? It's kind of like how, well, you just watched the first episode of Krypton, right? I can compare it to Krypton. And you know how in Krypton, like, Adam Strange is from the future, and he talks about Superman and the Justice League like they have a fully functional DC universe that we've never really seen in movies and TV. So when Deadpool references X-Men as if it's a thing that's ongoing, and, like, you know, you have, like, Cyclops, sorry. Colossus. Yeah, you can't mix those two up. Just because long words, well, not that long, but yeah, C's. Yeah, similar sounds at the start. Anyway, so I got him in Negasonic Teenage Warhead, right? And whenever they talk about recruiting X-Men, it sounds like the X-Men in the movies are like in the comics, where they're at a point where this school's been functioning for a long time and they recruit new members and they have a team that goes out and save people when there's a crisis. And I never really felt like the X-Men movies got to the point where it felt like that, but in Deadpool it feels like, no, that's how things are. So it's that weird thing. I will say I did actually really like the villain they kept a secret. You know, it's not in the trailers, because they were teasing a villain throughout a lot of the movie, and I was like, who is this? Who's in that cell? When they first tease it, I go, it better be this character. Better be, and then it ended up, and I felt so gratified. Not like that, like, hey, I guessed it, but it was like, oh, this makes so much sense. I'll be honest, I had no idea who it was. I really didn't know, and then when we finally see the character pop out, I went, oh shit. So that was fun. I liked that the inclusion of that character and how that character is used. I liked. Especially more than, say, how that character may have been used in the past in other movies. Yes, definitely. And this is the great thing with the X-Men movies, is there's been so many bad ones now that we could literally talk about anybody and nobody can guess it. I haven't seen it. Like, so, because the way I count it, there's like 3.5 maybe really good X-Men movies. So if that, I mean, it depends. Are you including Logan in that? Yeah, I'm including Logan in that. Okay, so, then sure, 3.5 sounds about right. But yeah, so no, I like that, but yeah, I think the core comedy wasn't working as much for me, I have to say, and because of that, some of the dramatic moments as well, when it tried to get serious about things, it fell kind of flat for me, largely because of the dramatic incident in the first act that kind of, you know, puts the plot in motion. Pissed me off on its own, so anything that kind of spiraled out from that kind of annoyed me more. Yeah. So when we get to that moment, we'll talk about it in the spoilers, but I had the thought of, oh, Pete's not going to like this, but probably for other reasons. Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a jokey reason why I might not like it, and that's probably what you were thinking, but there's a legit, you know, writing and plot premise why I don't like it. Right. I also want to heap praise on David Leitch. Because he's a fantastic action director. Like, I really felt that the action sequences in this one, not that they were bad in the first one, but I feel they're
really next level.
Yeah, the action's
here.
a lot better here. There's a fun thing towards the start where we're following like a henchman and running in slow motion as Deadpool's like taking out bad guys behind him, and that was kind of fun. The whole convoy chase sequence stuff, especially the domino parts of that, were really well done, and fun. So, no, the action was definitely well choreographed in this movie.
Yeah, and even in the beginning, because Leitch he co-directed John Wick. It felt very John Wick in the beginning, like just the way that it was shot and the lighting and the neon and just the fluorescent lights and whatnot in certain scenes. And then it gets away from that post that, and that's I like that.
I really wish I cared about Deadpool and I cared about him wanting to save this kid or not wanting to save the kid and then wanting to save the kid because that's the obvious arc of the movie.
Yeah, well, part of it is so Julian Dennison, who was in Hunt for the Wilder People, he was fantastic in that. He's getting a lot of
He's
praise
playing the
for
same
that.
character in this, though. That's my problem.
Yeah,
there's a point in this.
Exactly
There's a point in this where he yells out something like, "Oh, that's gangster," and I'm like, "That's your character from Hunt for the Wilder People. It's the exact same like attitude."
Yeah, and so of course you're getting heaps of praise because you're playing the same character, and like the kid has comedic timing. Like he plays off of Ryan Reynolds well, but like he was almost the weakest part of the movie for me because I'd rather see more Domino and Cable and the hidden character that we're going to talk about than this kid.
Yes. Also, we won't spoil what they are yet, but there is like several celebrity cameos in this. One of which I didn't actually notice, but other two I did. But there was three big notable cameos.
There's a really big notable cameo in the beginning that killed me. So I don't want to spoil it for people. We'll talk about it in the spoiler section.
I don't know if I remember that one. Maybe once you say it, it'll click for me.
Well, not quite the beginning, but it's he goes to talk to Colossus, and there's a cameo.
Oh,
there.
right, okay, yeah, that's... I wasn't really thinking of that. That's kind of different from what I was thinking. I was thinking of all just the random famous people who are kind of in the movie. Whereas that's more like, oh, here's a cameo from other movies that are related. So I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I think we'll give the spoiler warning probably now, but so the action is better. I do think the core drama of the plot is lacking and feels very thin to me. And on a personal level, I just think the humor it just doesn't hit for me most of the time.
Okay.
I found myself rolling my eyes a lot.
Well, I'm glad we kind of line up on at least the action and the story parts. I think we're copacetic there. And then when it comes to humor, it is so subjective, that it's really if it's your taste or not.
Yeah, so full spoilers, I think, from this point on for Deadpool 2. So cameos just quickly. One of the team members is an invisible guy called the Vanisher. And I wasn't sure if they were going to just like play the joke as if there is actually no one there. But then eventually when they're all diving out of the plane, there's a parachute, there's a backpack on no one. Yeah.
On somebody. And that visual gag just killed me. Because I was like, oh, there is a guy there.
Yeah, and that was funny, but then when he dies, and we'll talk about that, everyone dying in that scene a bit later, but when he dies, it's Brad Pitt. You see him kind of appear. What's funny is I didn't recognise Matt Damon as a hillbilly at one point, but the person he was talking to, I immediately clocked was Alan Tudyk. I was like, that's Alan Tudyk.
It sounds like Alan Tudyk. I've heard him do that voice before. Have you seen Tucker and Dale?
Yes, I like that.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's a very Tucker and... Oh, wait, that's Tudyk. I didn't realize that was Matt Damon either.
Yeah, no, I honestly didn't notice that was him. It's in his credits. He's Redneck #2.
Oh my god, that is between him, this and Ragnarok. He's getting those secret Marvel checks.
He's just showing up and doing little cameos here or there. So there was that, and obviously the one you were referring to is, and I like this joke because Deadpool's getting very meta, and he's talking about how come every time I'm at the X-Mansion, I'm only seeing you and the teenager and now our girlfriend. Like how come the other X-Men are never around? And then just behind him, you see like Quicksilver, Beast, and a few other X-Men from the and I don't even know why it's all the ones who are the younger characters from the movie set in the past. That makes no sense.
But
it doesn't matter. It's funny.
It's fine, yeah. And they like quietly shut the door.
Yeah, they quietly shut the door because they don't want to deal with them. That's the joke. So that was a funny joke.
Which again, that's what makes it feel like a lived-in X universe. Is like we know because they're never around that they don't want to deal with Deadpool, and Colossus will be like, he'll jump on that grenade and like, sure, I'll go deal with him, and that's how we get that. Yukio. Is this supposed to be the same girl from the Wolverine that Wolverine was palling around with?
I don't think so.
Because that's the same name. Like, there's an X-Men character named Yukio.
She didn't have those powers, though. I don't think that's the same character.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I swear that they gave it the name.
I never remembered her name, so it never even occurred to me for a second that this was meant to be that character from Wolverine.
Okay.
It's definitely not the same actress, that's for sure.
No, it's definitely not the same actress, but I'm trying to see if there's a...
that was another disappointment, is I felt like she... Like... See that moment in the trailer where she jumps down and she has like her whip and she's like sort of spinning it around? That is the only scene in the movie where she actually is in costume using her whip. Like, there's like no other moments with her doing anything with it. She's kind of just a cameo and nothing more. So that was kind of a bummer. So let's get to my biggest complaint though. I want to get to my big main complaint. So here's a pet peeve of mine. Right, here's something I hate in sequels. And this sometimes happens in good sequels that I otherwise like. I complained about it in Pacific Rim 2, and I still like that movie quite a bit. But this pissed me off in that movie. It is the fridging of a character from the first movie in the first 20 minutes, just because it's easy drama, it's lazy writing, it's lazy drama, and I groaned so hard when they killed Vanessa, which is his girlfriend. It's Morena Baccarin, and I know you were joking that I'm pissed off because she's from Firefly.
Yes,
it's an arrow from Firefly. Okay, which makes the Alan Tudyk cameo even funnier because he's from Firefly too. But no, I groaned so hard because it was like, no, we're just going to kill her in the first 10 minutes, and that's going to like drive the plot. It's revenge, and that if you're not familiar with the term fridging, it means when and it's not actually, it's kind of okay if it's the start of the like I wouldn't call it fridging if it's like the start of the first movie and that's just the premise of the character, that's the backstory, is that someone dies.
So basically fridging is you're killing a significant other just to create the drama of their death. 99
times out of 100 it's the woman that's getting fridged. Yeah, it's a sexist trope, typically. That's why when it happened in Wonder Woman to Steve Trevor, it was kind of funny. It was like, oh, the guy got fridged. That was actually kind of refreshing for a change.
Yeah.
And it's just, I rolled my eyes so hard. And that's the thing, like, for me specifically here, it bugs me so much in a sequel when it feels like, oh no, we got the actor back for a couple of scenes. And sure, you see her in a couple of, like, sort of weird heaven vision scenes later on in the movie. And
very, very reminiscent of The Crow.
Yeah, right? Bizarrely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
then...
As
wasn't me.
And don't get me wrong, people are going to say, yeah, but he uses Cable's time travel device to like erase her death in the post-credit scene. Sure, he does do that, but that doesn't change the fact that the movie plays around and revolves around the fact that she died.
Right.
I still had to watch the movie play out like that.
Yeah, because when it starts, he's in the apartment and everything's going to hell, and he blows himself up because he let her die. That's his frame of mind, and that's the inciting incident for the movie. Like, there's no movie if she doesn't die.
Yeah, the whole movie still plays out as if that's the case. I don't care that it's reversed at the end. It doesn't matter. Like, I still had to watch the movie do it. So,
yeah.
So
yeah,
that's...
and it, on a different level, it kind of annoys me because I like their chemistry. Is Baccarin and Reynolds play really well off of each other.
Yeah.
So that was probably my favorite part of the first movie. Was their relationship.
And that's that's just specifically fridging. It even bothers me when it's not fridging, when they don't kill the character. See, when it's just they write out the character just quickly in the same way. Kick-Ass 2, which was a terrible movie anyway, but they write out the girlfriend.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, I saw that in the theater when it came out.
Oh, Pete, I'm sorry, bud.
Like, but they write out his girlfriend, like, what was her name, Katie, in that movie? But they write her out, Lindsay Fonseca, who is an actress I like, but she gets written out in one scene, and she acts out of character to justify the fact that she breaks up with them and just leaves. She sees him hugging someone and just says, "Oh, I guess you're cheating on me," and walks out the scene, and that's it. You never see her again.
Wow.
And the entire part of the heart of the first movie was his relationship with her and them growing closer. That was a big part of that first movie, and it just shits all over it. And this kind of shits all over the building up in the first movie. It's just, it feels so cheap and lazy. Yeah, it bugged me so much.
It does. It does. Yeah, I have no counter to that because it did, but yeah, I'm not even gonna try. I was gonna try just to play devil's advocate, but
you can't. It's weak. It's weak sauce, and So that's why, like, so they were going to have a baby, and that's why he's all feeling. So he's like, oh, you have to make kids make us better than who we were, and they make you want to be better. So the whole thing is that he hates this kid, but then he wants to protect him. It's this weird fatherly bond he's got going, and he's willing to sacrifice himself, which is ultimately what's going to prove to the kid not to be a villain, because Deadpool cares that much that he's willing to sacrifice himself. And then Cable uses time travel malarkey. He's got one trip left, but instead of going back to the future where he can be with his wife and daughter, he goes back and saves Deadpool.
Yeah, I cared more about Cable's story, really, than Deadpool's.
So did I. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, because I felt they did a good job of building that up, and even when he says that his daughter's name is Hope, that's a nice reference back to the comics and whatnot. So. It has a cool device of the bear that he had grabbed, and you see when time fixes itself, it's back to being a regular teddy bear. So, but yeah, timey-wimey, mumbo-jumbo.
Do you know what's funny, actually? The guy, because obviously the kid comes from this like horrible orphanage that's experimenting on mutants, right? The guy who runs that place, like, I was like, oh, it's Eddie Marsan. Like, I know him from various things. He's in a lot of British stuff, and he was in The World's End, is probably what you may know him from. But I thought it was him, and then he started speaking, and he was doing such a good American accent that I then thought, oh, maybe it's not him then. But no, it's him. It's him. He did such a good job that I got lost in his voice.
Did you notice it was the Essex home? For
I did, yeah. I'd forgotten about it, but yeah, I remember when they first mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. For those that don't know, Nathaniel Essex is Mr. Sinister, big bad X-Men villain. So I thought that was a fun little reference.
Didn't they tease that at the end of one of the last X-Men movies in the mid-credit scene? Yeah,
they did. It might have been Apocalypse, but I tried to forget that movie. So, yeah.
That movie wasn't the worst thing.
It wasn't, but it also wasn't, like, it was just blah.
It wasn't great, but I think people put that movie down and somehow forget that it's actually probably on par with a lot of the other ones that people think are good.
Well, probably. I just
this is what I'm saying.
Coming off of First Class and even Days of Future Past.
Oh, First Class is great. I love First Class.
Yeah, it's just it's you have a high hurdle to get over, and I felt that they didn't, and Apocalypse just wasn't a worthy adaptation, I think.
The thing for me though is that Days of Future Past I think is overrated. So for me it wasn't like a fall down. For me it was kind of like a almost breaking even.
Yeah. We had this discussion. Go back to X-Men Apocalypse review.
Yeah, people fight me on this. People think Days of Future Past is great and X-Men Apocalypse sucks.
Oh, I don't necessarily think it's great. I enjoy it though. I probably enjoy it more than Apocalypse. Just I like the Wolverine story.
I think what ages a lot of the X-Men movies for me, apart from the black leather and the sort of steely early 2000s thing, is that I don't think Bryan Singer's that good an action director. His action's really dull. Admittedly, for real life reasons, we'll probably never have to watch any more of his action scenes ever again. But First Class I think is head and shoulders above the rest of them. Not including Logan, because Logan's a very not an X-Men movie specifically. That's its own thing, which is also fantastic.
Oh man, and the jokes to Logan in this one too. I mean, it opens up with like a music box that's Wolverine over the tree branch. And that I don't know why it made me laugh the way it did, but it did. So I thought that was a nice start to the movie, just self-referential. He's like, oh, so Wolverine killed himself, so I'm gonna have to kill myself.
Yeah. Obviously, even in the post-credit or the mid-credit scene, but I was annoyed actually because I waited till the very end because I thought it was going to be another scene.
Me too, and I really had to use the bathroom.
Yeah, I was pissed when the screen just went black and the lights came up. I was like, "Oh, screw you, movie! You had one the last movie. Why not this one?"
Yeah. That said, I did enjoy the majority of the post credits in this one. Like him going and shooting the X-Men Origins Wolverine version, and then just keep shooting like that. That cracked me up.
Yeah, it was okay. Like I say, the Green Lantern one just kind of was like, okay, we've made fun of Green Lantern already. Like, you've done it twice in this movie before. Never mind in the last movie. I was just like, okay. Well.
I just feel Ryan Reynolds really feels like that movie should have been bigger, and whatever happened.
No, it should
So I
have been.
think he's just salty about it.
Green Lantern can be a fantastic movie franchise,
Yeah.
and they shit the bed. So
Big time.
I get that. But let's talk about the villain. Let's talk about the surprise villain who, when he breaks, because basically the kid befriends whoever's in this cell, and then when we finally see him get out, it is Juggernaut. And he's big, he's CGI, he's got the big wide head with a helmet. He references the fact that Xavier's his brother. It'd have been nice to actually get that plot somewhere in an X-Men movie, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, especially because you can do him as a mutant. You don't have to have the Jim Sidorak.
Also,
so
screw El Last Stand, because as soon as I saw him, even though I was like, oh, they actually have him looking properly at Juggernaut, the first thought I had in my head was, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Me too. And I was like, please don't do that, please. And they didn't. So I was pleased. He did what he needed to do. Like, I didn't need a quippy Juggernaut, and he's just kind of like, I'm gonna tear you in half now, and he does. So.
Oh yeah, he literally rips Deadpool in half, which is amusing. Which leads to the
baby legs.
The baby legs scene, which I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think that was that funny.
It's one of those things where when you first see it, it's not that funny. But then it keeps going and it starts being funny, but then they don't know when to quit when they're ahead. So it goes back to not being funny. Although I will say it did get me when he stood up and walked. But yeah. But yeah, the Juggernaut. I really liked that inclusion because the way that they set him up in the prison, like he's in the solitary confinement kind of deal, and he's making a lot of noise. And they even reference, they're like, hey, watch for this guy in the third act. And then when Fire Fist goes down there and befriends him, like I was like, well, is it him? So it's still a nice surprise when you finally see him bust out of that convoy.
Yeah, no, it was a nice surprise. It was nice that they didn't spoil that in the trailers because they could have. They could have been like, hey, look, Juggernaut's in this movie. Like, yeah, it looks.
Or it could have been. They could have given away the Colossus versus Juggernaut.
Yeah,
so,
or even Negasonic when she flies into him at full speed. Yeah, so no, like there's I think the action's fun. I liked. It's funny though, like I was going to say earlier. It's odd how my favorite part about this is that it kind of implies that there's like a proper X-Men ongoing thing happening, and it made me excited about that more than it made me excited about Deadpool himself. That said, though, I am kind of in for an X-Force movie because I did like Domino a lot. Cable's all right. I could be doing Cable. In fact, I actually laughed really hard when Cable punched the kid in the face. Like that was quite funny.
Well, of course, we don't know how you feel about children, though. So
I don't know, there's something really funny to me about kids just like adults just hurting kids like they're other adults in movies. It really cracks me up. In
the Coen Brothers True Grit, when Jeff Bridges walks out and kicks the kid off the porch, I died like in the theater, and my mother-in-law looks over me.
It's like see if it's played like an adult like hitting a child. It's obviously it's awkward and uncomfortable because it's abuse. Yeah. But when they play it as an adult just punches a kid in the face like it's another adult, it's really funny. It's really funny.
Yeah, just and for no reason. So like I love that stuff too. But yeah, if you would have told me that there's like, because when I heard Cable, I was like, oh great, here comes gritty pouches and cybernetic arms.
And they were making fun of. They made fun of the pouches. In fact, when it comes to the meta humor, when I did have some fun, is when Deadpool was critiquing the origins of Domino and Cable, and he said, "Oh, only a guy who couldn't draw feet must have created these assholes." That was kind of funny because that was some Rob Liefeld jabs.
Yeah, well, and he even says, who must have snorted Columbia's worth of coke when he was creating these, like just all these shots, and I thought that was hilarious too, because the '90s is such a weird time for comics, because of those designs, and then
I mean, but it's funny because I kind of said this after Black Panther, which I do think Black Panther's a better movie by quite a margin.
Oh. Yeah.
But I had the same feeling after that, where I'm like, I don't really feel inspired to go and read anything. I might try Gail Simone's Domino that's just started, since I like Domino's Power a bit. I don't care about Cable in the comic. I don't want to go read a Cable book.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm
every
good.
time I've read Cable, he's been. So I've read him in a lot of X-Men crossovers, and he's always my least favorite part, just because he's like Cyclops but worse. He has to be the wet blanket on everything, and. So he's always worked. I've heard the Deadpool and Cable series from the mid-2000s is really funny because it's like 48 hours, but with superpowers. And that's something that would appeal to me. and yeah, and they play off of each other so well. And Brolin does a great job at playing the straight man. I mean, the dubstep jokes during the fight scenes and whatnot, and his delivery of lines.
Do you know what I'll give this movie credit for? I'll give it credit for the fact that, okay, so Cable, I assumed getting in by the end would probably be an ally. Like, by the end, Deadpool and Cable will be working together, right? And obviously they gave us Juggernaut to have something to fight, but I actually really like that the final of the movie, on a conceptual level, is not, oh, Big Bad is going to destroy the world, we have to fight him. It's, no, we have to convince this kid that he doesn't have to be evil, that he can be good. I liked what the core conflict at the end was. Even if I wasn't emotionally kind of as invested in it, because I wasn't really caring about Deadpool, I do appreciate that on paper, this wasn't just villains trying to destroy the world with a big blue beam of light going into the sky. Like, I appreciated that, just on a conceptual level.
There is a CGI fight, but it's not the main CGI fight, you know? Like, I thought, so, you know, and that happens, and I know that was your big thing of the final of Black Panther.
This might, that was my big complaint about Black Panther. Like, the story was really good, the conflict, what the villain's motives were all fantastic. It was just the final CGI fight between the two Panthers that was kind of, you know, lame.
Yeah.
It's going to sound insane, but this is the kind of conflict that I would like at the end of a Superman movie, where he has to talk someone down, he has to convince someone not to be evil. Like, that actually is, you know, not for every Superman movie, but for one Superman movie, that is the perfect thing to do.
Although, I feel like you also want to see him punch some things, because when it's a Superman movie where he doesn't punch things, it's returns.
Oh, sure, yeah, you can punch some things first, but the final thing is actually, like, talking someone down. I think that's...
Yeah.
You know, some of my favourite episodes of Supergirl are where she talks someone down. She doesn't actually just, you know, go and blasting her heat vision and punching things.
Yeah, I mean, that's why this season's been so good, because it's been a lot of that. Some episodes not so much, but, you know.
The what episodes?
Some episodes not so much.
Yeah, some episodes, yeah. I thought you were being specific there, so I was curious.
No.
No.
Yeah, no, I did like that too, and I like the, you know, Cable realizing, like, hey, I did my job, I don't have to kill this kid to prevent it. So he goes back and essentially saves Deadpool. So... he can redeem this kid. So,
yeah, if I was going to critique that like time travel save there, is I did think it was a bit strange that he goes back in time, but he replaces himself. He doesn't like become a double. It's not like it's not like Back to the Future where he goes back and there's like another version of him there.
That's right. I didn't think about that till now.
Yeah, he replaces himself, and then all he does differently is he puts the coin, the token, in Deadpool's chest so that it'll stop the bullet. But then he like does everything the exact same way so that the outcome's still identical. Like, just at a conceptual level, I'm thinking about the character and thinking about how he has to like make sure he does everything the exact same so that the events play out the same. That's kind of funny. Like, why not just choose not to shoot the kid? Although I suppose it's the shooting the kid and then Deadpool jumping in that convinces the kid that, you know, good exists. So I guess, okay, that makes sense. And maybe Cable understands that, so that's fine. But I was racking my brain thinking about, wait, so he has to go through all these fight scenes and all the movements and make the exact same choices.
Yeah, see, that's where I think there's a little floatability. Like, there could be things that go a little bit differently, but you still, as long as you end up in the same outcome where, you know, the headmaster...
Because it's not like when he comes back from the future the first time, it's not like he has a version of himself to replace, because he's coming back to before he exists.
Yeah. You know, time travel this week, it's not my friend. So, thought about that in the theater, too, yesterday. I was going... Oh, man, I can't think about this stuff too much. So, but yeah.
Matt needs to watch Primer again.
He even calls him Thanos at one point, which killed me. Like,
that's an obvious joke
to make. There's a lot of Marvel references in this. Like, he calls Domino Black Widow. Like,
at one point he says Cable's got a Winter Soldier arm.
Yeah, and then he jumps on top of Juggernaut and goes, all right, big guy, the sun's going down.
Yeah.
You know, like... So I'm glad that they can, you know, they're comfortable enough to make those jokes, where I feel like the first movie, there's no way they would have even attempted it. So, but no, yeah, I enjoyed it because, again, David Leitch's direction I thought was really good. And I even was like, at the beginning, like, this feels John Wick, and then I remembered who the director was.
No, I mean, the action scenes are good, and just to sort of go back to what I like about Domino stuff, obviously there's a scene where she's running around the cars, and there's trucks flipping, and she's jumping out and lying on giant inflatable pandas. But the scene towards the end, when everyone else is going down, and she's in the hospital saving the rest of the kids, and...
I need a bus.
well, he's the bus, but before that, the stuff that I really liked was like the henchmen just like falling and their heads getting splatted with like cabinets that were falling down. That was cracking me up so much, and that's what I was like, man, I wish the movie was like more of this. Like I wish this was like more of the focus of the film. So I am all for more Domino in another movie. So do it. Basically.
Yeah, not that I forgot about that scene, but you just rejogged my memory. Yeah, that one. There's some brutal deaths in there, like Final Destination style. Like again.
Yeah.
That's an apt comparison.
Yeah, I really I loved her stuff. Like I say, I do think some characters are basically cameos. In fact, one thing we have to go back and talk about is how the original X-Force team is like the entire thing's just a joke where they all die as they're landing in the parachutes.
Which I kind of had the feeling of it even from the trailer. I feel like these guys aren't going to factor in very much, and that's a shame because I love Terry Crews a lot. And so to see him not be used as much is kind of a shame.
Because at first, because the first one who dies was the dude with the weird red hair, the white suit. I can't remember his name. Shatterstar.
One of such a Liefeld character.
Yeah,
too.
and he seems so lame that I thought, okay, that's the joke, is that he dies instantly. Yeah. But then they all start dying one by one. You know, the invisible guy hits the power cables. One of the other guys that goes into the trash compactor and is like, crushing them and stuff.
And it's Zeitgeist. So Zeitgeist is this character from Mike Allred's run on X-Force, where they renamed it Ecstatics. And his whole point, so spoiler alert for a 20-year-old comic, he doesn't make it through the first issue. They build him up like he's going to be the main leader of this new team, and he dies at the end of the first issue. So when I see Zeitgeist there, I kind of am like, oh, he's not long. Now, I didn't see him going into the wood chipper. Was that a wood chipper?
I was thinking. I thought it was the back of a garbage truck, but yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, and then poor Peter, the one guy that just showed up because he saw the ad, getting the acid vomit on him, like.
Yeah, and half of his body gets melted away. Peter was funny, and obviously he gets saved. Interestingly, he's the only one Deadpool saves with the time travel at the end.
Yeah.
Rest of them, they're all losers. But I'll save Peter. Now Peter was a really funny joke in the trailer when it was like, "Oh, you're on the team." Then it cut to him in the parachute, and the mustaches, as he's going down. Which, by the way, Domino's hair as well as she was going down because she's got that big hair. Like, that would look really cool. Yeah,
it did.
But yeah,
I like that he went back and saved him just because it made Deadpool seem like his death solely on me. All these other guys are superheroes,
Yeah,
but
I think there was a point though when I realised he was going to kill them all except Domino in the same scene, and I thought, okay, did we need the scene of them like assembling them all and then convincing Peter to go? Like all of that stuff built up to just them all dying in one scene. I don't know. It felt like this was easily 10 minutes of screen time to cut.
Well, I liked it because I like the joke for the payoff, and there's the high winds, and Deadpool's like, oh no, it's fine, and it's because the high winds that everybody gets driven into their demise, except for Domino, of course, because she's lucky. But yeah, it made me laugh, and that's fine by me. So, but going forward, I don't want them I want an X-Force movie to have a different tone. Like you can still have Deadpool being like zany and crazy and whatnot, but I want everyone else to be like.
Well, that's the thing.
Toned down.
I think the quickest way I'd say it is I feel like an X-Force movie should feel a bit closer to John Wick in terms of tone.
Yeah.
It should feel like a hard R action movie with Deadpool's being funny here or there, but it should be a bit more of a brutal squad of killers rather than anything else. But
definitely.
But hey, so I didn't hate it. It was kind of in the middle. Some things I liked, some things I appreciate about it, but a lot of the comedy didn't work. And fridging of Vanessa, even if it is reversed at the end, still pissed me off, and it made a lot of the underlying drama of Deadpool's character throughout the film kind of annoy me.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll rate the movie then. So Matt, what did you give it?
I enjoyed this more than you. I gave it an 8. I had a good time. Thoroughly surprised. Okay. And again, it made me like Cable. That's a stunt onto its own.
I don't know. I think it's easier when he's Josh Brolin. I feel like if this was...
That's true. I feel like I want Josh Brolin to be my stepdad. I just want him to give me advice on what to do, and also he was supposed to be Batman at one point. I feel that would have been. I'm glad he dodged that bullet. He was supposed to be in BVS, and they gave it to Affleck instead.
I think under the right director, though, him as Batman does sound interesting. As the dogs cause chaos.
Yep. Hey,
Well,
Deadpool's here.
just to wrap up there, whilst the dogs are going nuts, I would probably give this like a 5, maybe 5.5, because I think there is some reasonable qualities in there that I do appreciate, but there's also a lot of things that I don't like, and I think on a base level, I just think the humour's maybe 5.5. I'll say 5.5.
Okay. That makes me feel better because we were lining up too much recently.
Okay.
And I'm glad that there's a gap there. So
yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, just reminded us that we're different people. Yes, that's good.
That's right. I'm not being absorbed into the Scottish Brainiac ship.
Yes. Resistance is futile.
Yeah, that's right.
And I morphed Brainiac into the Borg for a Star Trek reference.
You did, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to go with it, because...
I think it's a fair jump to make between the two.
True. I've never seen a Borg episode, I've only seen the Borg movie. Was one movie?
First Contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First Contact?
Yeah, First Contact.
Okay. Which one was Insurrection?
Insurrection is there's like an alien ship, and there's like a planet full of people they all have to save. I don't know, it was a really mediocre movie.
Okay. I get those two confused, because they were, anyways. I've seen the Borg.
Yeah, there was an invisible ship on a lake or something like that. That's all I really remember about Insurrection.
I got that.
But First Contact's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that is Deadpool 2. That kind of wraps up our thoughts and discussion on it. Yeah. So, but obviously check out our other stuff. This is an awful plug. I'm not even sure where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Check out all other stuff, because me and Cara do older movies, me and Tim do horror movies on the channel and in the various audio feeds. If you go to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, there's a handy list of all the different shows and the different audio feeds as well. If you want to get the audio versions on a podcast app, you can do that. But check out all that stuff. Obviously, me and Matt will be doing this month's Overload soon. The winner of the vote was, of course, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I had to think about that just for a split second.
Yes.
And we'll be talking about
excellent.
that, which I've never seen, for the record, so that'll be a first-time watch for me. So that's coming up. And also...
More time travel, Pete! This is weird.
I know, a lot of time travel back-to-back. And next week, of course, Solo, A Star Wars Story is out. So me and Matt, and I assume Connor will be jumping in as well for that, because he's a Star Wars guy. I am not a Star Wars guy. I am, every time the trailer comes on, I'm annoyed. I am so not looking forward to that movie.
Maybe you should sit it out.
I am actively dreading seeing it.
I am getting a sign as soon as I am over.
All right, well, we can wrap it up there. So that has been 1.21 gigawatts. Of course, let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Where can they find you, Matt, on Twitter? Should they want to find you?
Yeah, you can find me at MattofSteel57. Sometimes I take a lot of time off in between. Most of the time, I forget that it's there. So, yeah.
You can find me at Wibble89 if you want to find me on the Twitters, but otherwise, that is us. So yeah, check out Patreon, check out all the stuff we mentioned, all worth checking out. Weekly TV news, weekly movie news, all that other stuff. But that is us, so thank you once again for watching or listening, and we always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.